this life ain't fair. And I know that you're going nowhere. Well, don't blame me for what you've done, 'cause I know that you are having fun.
Welcome to the Clarified Realty Podcast, exposing the real estate secrets your agent doesn't want you to know. Here's your host, Tom Clary.
Well, don't you just walk away. That's when I'll say.
Welcome to the Clarified Realty Podcast. I'm Tom Clary. I'm your host. I'm a real estate agent here in the beautiful state of California, Los Angeles to be exact. I'm here with my co-host, Ron Bruno. Ron Bruno, how you doing today, sir?
How you doing? All right.
Oh,
Once you go Italian, you never go back, right?
So before we get started, I do want to, I have to thank you, actually.
Oh,
I want to take a little moment to thank you.
Wow.
Not for what you think,
Thanks.
probably, but because of you and because of your basically telling me how amazing it was, I watched the Defiant Ones. You got me.
It is addicting.
I tell you, it was a really good documentary.
It was amazing.
It was wonderful. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I might even start listening to some rap music.
What?
I know, right?
Oh, man.
I know that's hard to believe.
Unbelievable.
That's almost too shocking. But,
That's crazy. So you watch all 4 episodes?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so
Yeah.
at the end, they show where Dre, he's giving this gift to Compton High School,
Right.
and the Performing Arts Center,
Right.
And Karen, my wife, we have a good friend of ours, Missy. She actually her company DLR Group is the one that won the bid.
Oh, interesting.
So,
oh wow,
she actually was there when they were filming it, and
oh wow,
I was, Karen and I, we were looking, and apparently, so I saw Missy over at a birthday party over the weekend, and I'm like, we were looking for you. She's like, I was right off camera.
Oh,
so like I didn't even get like a finger there, but if you look at it, like that's me. So
that's funny. Well,
yeah,
I mean,
so,
it was, what was just amazing was the drive that both of those guys have.
Oh yeah,
that, Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre. That literally, they don't take no for an answer. Pretty much.
No,
I mean with Dre, it's more creatively.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't take no for an answer, and Jimmy just basically stays on the phone in his bathroom for 40 hours at a time. Which is
exactly.
God bless. If that gets the job done, you do it.
And Jimmy's, how he was able to actually get into, the role was they needed a sound engineer on Easter Sunday.
Yeah.
And he just so happened to say, you know what, family? I'm missing this Easter because they need me.
Right. And like an Italian family, that's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
You're going in on,
I mean, that's sacrilege.
Easter Sunday. Come on now.
That's sacrilege. Like, you can't do that.
And then to start with John Lennon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's where you're going to go from there.
Yeah. So it's like hashtag right place, right time.
Wow.
So that was
well. Anyway,
amazing.
Thank you very much. I'm so glad you browbeat me into actually
I'm glad
sitting
you liked
down to
it.
watch. And Julie, my wife, watched it with me, and it
good.
was like, it was great. It was good.
Nice.
It filled our time.
Very good. Now you have to watch Snowfall. That's on FX.
What's Snowfall?
That's the birth of crack in Los Angeles.
For some reason, when you said the birth of, I was like thinking of like some sort of like
birth of a nation,
birth of a nation, birth of Christ kind of thing.
Birth
but no, we're talking about
crack in
the
Los
birth
Angeles.
of crack.
Yes,
crack cocaine.
Yes.
So today is going to be our what we like to do is a news show every once in a while, kind of like just kind of sit down, look at some of the news stories that are making the rounds, real estate wise, at least in spirit,
right?
So that's what today's is, and you guys seem out there to enjoy it. So why don't we go ahead and get started? What do we got out there? What's our first story of the day?
Sure. So the first one here, and what I would say is kind of the common theme with all of these is it's California love. So a lot of this is
California love.
There you go. That was Tom saying that, not me. I can wrap it later, but that's on a whole nother show.
Yes.
Okay, so the first story here is from CNBC, and this is almost half of Americans have buyer's remorse about their house. 44% of Americans have regrets about their current home or the process they went through when choosing it, a Trulia survey says. Wishing they had bought a larger home was the top disappointment.
Yeah. What was interesting was when I was out there looking for my house, it was always important to me that I knew that I was going to, I knew a family was coming down the line. We weren't pregnant yet or whatever, but I figured as much in like 5 to 10 years that I was going to need that extra room.
Right.
And so when I'm talking to my clients now, nowadays, I put that experience back into play. I basically tell them, is like, look, it's always best to try to push yourself a little bit harder and get just slightly bigger than the house that you need.
Right.
Because you don't know what you're going to need to grow into. And if you kind of, everybody's trying to right now get into that kind of the absolute most house they can get into for their money.
Right.
It's like literally to the top of their limit of what they're approved for. And they always kind of, well, not always, but I should say that I'm seeing a very specific lean, which is they try to stay in the exact area that they want to stay in. And that's fine. But, here in Los Angeles, you're going to be probably focusing on something that's going to keep you in like a 2-room and 1 bath. It's not going to give you the kind of, unless you widen your horizons. You have to be open to widening your horizons to get a larger home, possibly.
Right.
So,
well, and it's interesting. I mean, so one of the things you had mentioned on previous podcasts is, there's the scripts that are out there where agents, they specifically target and really make it where they force you into making a choice, right? Between certain listings. So I think a lot of why there's a big buyer's remorse, and especially from the size, is they haven't properly, either the agent or the buyer, they haven't properly set up and looked at all of their options. I think they've been pressured into finding the perfect home and then figuring out the financing and, cutting through and trying to make it all work and make it all happen versus actually starting with finding out how much you can afford, finding out how much you qualify for, looking in those areas, and really having
a big picture, really.
Big picture. So I think what a lot of people have done is they just went directly to the agent. The agent took them on the car lot, showed them the home or car that they love, and then at the end of the day, they're like, let's figure out the financing, and then boom, they're sold and they're done, and then they move on.
Right.
I think that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, and I think that, but also I don't think that there's everybody's kind of so focused on their experience right now, and having a little bit, just a tiny bit of forethought to just have a little bit of room to grow, a little bit of room to expand in, and that doesn't mean at the expense of investing. You know what I mean? And so where you're kind of in over your head. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying the potential of maybe moving to a different area that gives you the option of more space. And I think that this would probably avoid a lot of this kind of buyer's remorse that I think that a lot of folks are,
Yeah, and then on the flip side, so the article continues and it says the renter's top regret was wishing they had bought instead of rented. So some may have
that was huge, by the way. That was a
too
huge
cautious.
Thing. Right.
Some may have been too cautious because of the lingering effects of the housing crisis. So it says in every U.S. major market, it's cheaper to buy a home than it is to rent over 7 years.
Yeah, and it's so funny. I was hearing someone speak the other day about whether or not in the future, maybe people aren't going to need to buy homes anymore. And I stopped and I kind of went, well, and I respect this person. I really think that they're someone.
I know who you're talking about.
You know who I'm talking about.
I listened to it.
And but the thing is, I go, well, wait a minute. Somebody's going to own those.
That's right.
Somebody's going to own it. And
you have to live somewhere.
Right now, like you said, these homes are. It's better than renting to buy at this point. There is
over 7 years.
There's
over
no
7 year period.
Yeah, as long as you take it over the 7 year period. So there's no excuse. There's really absolutely no excuse. So this fear that I've talked about over and over again on this podcast, and people have got to get this fear out of them about, but I understand it. I get where it's coming from. I get what you experienced over the past, since 2008. I know where it's coming from, and you don't want that quote unquote hassle in your life or you've got bigger things planned. But the problem is the market, and that was another story I was contemplating talking about today, was the foreign purchasers coming in to, they're not waiting, right? No. They're coming in and just sucking up the properties. I mean, it's huge, guys. I'm telling you right now that foreign money coming into America has not flagged. It is actually accelerating. I think there was, what was it, like 50% more than last year?
Yeah, it was a very large number.
Yeah,
a huge number. I think it was remarkable how much foreign investment has come into the U.S. from the standpoint of residential real estate.
Right, and from places you wouldn't expect. Like everybody was thinking China is a big
and they were saying California,
which is still
Florida were the largest markets.
But Florida, but who was in Florida? The Canadians.
Yeah.
The Canadians were coming in, and they're basically, for them, the value's crazy because up in Canada, they've gotten a lot of equity over the past 5 to 10 years.
Yep.
And they can come down and buy in Florida, and also with probably the arbitrage of the loonie, or what's their
I think so, yeah.
I think it is.
Canadian dollar.
The Canadian dollar, whatever. That makes sense to come down and buy the retirement homes in Florida.
That's right.
So what does that mean to you guys? You're going to be crowded out if you don't act sooner than later. But guys, over and over again, I can't tell you that I'm not trying. This is not a sales tactic, guys. This is not me trying to be a salesman. Okay, I'm very concerned that there is going to be a lack of properties out there, and folks, good folks here, could be priced out of the market. And when they finally decide to get out there, get off of the sideline, and decide to invest, the homes are going to be just out of their price point.
Yeah, well, the next article is...
Especially here in LA.
Yeah. So, the next article says housing prices in Los Angeles, San Francisco, San Jose, and San Diego have jumped as much as 75% over the past 5 years.
That's insanity.
Yeah.
75%. Where do you think it's going, guys?
Right. And now that's coming off of the bottom, right? So that's coming from the financial crisis, but still, that's pretty staggering.
And everybody's like, well, it's going to be a crash soon. It's going to be a crash soon. But if you look historically, if you look across the, I think it's like 40 years or something like that, we're actually in an accurate part of appreciation. Like it's not like it's not like some sort of weird hockey stick, crazy, flying up and on the graph thing.
Right.
We're actually well within what appreciation should be at this time.
Yeah, it's not artificial from the standpoint where in 2007 and the years prior to that it was artificial because you had all of these very loose lending standards, and anybody could buy a home that was able to sign loan documents, and now you actually have serious qualifications. Now they are getting looser, which is great, but they still are nowhere near what they used to be. Right. So it's not like you have this artificial piece to it. I mean, they are very, very real.
Yeah.
And that's not what's driving it. I mean, a main driver is that there's a massive lack of supply. Right. And that's what the next article talks about.
Yeah. Well, let's go into, but before we move on to the next article, I just want to say that what we're talking about is a strong market, not a frothy bubble. We're talking about, this is just a strong market with little or no inventory. So that brings us to our next article here.
So this is from the New York Times.
Right.
And this says, the cost of a hot economy in California, a severe housing crisis.
Yeah.
Right. So what it says a full-fledged housing crisis has gripped California, marked by a severe lack of affordable homes and apartments for middle-class families. The median cost of a home here is a staggering $500,000.
Yeah.
Twice the national cost. Homelessness is surging across the state. Right. So what you have is, what's great about California is, you have the coastal cities and you have all of this NIMBYisms, right? So not in my backyard,
right,
where people have insulated themselves and they've elected themselves and their friends to, certain levels of government to protect their beautiful stately mansions and property. And what it's done is it's squeezed everybody else out. Right. And that's a huge challenge. And what's happening now is there's a trend, especially with the millennials, is YIMBYisms. Right. So yes, in my backyard.
Yes, in my backyard.
Right. So now they're starting to realize that, long term, it's not going to be a prosperous place to live if nobody can live here.
Right.
Right. People are going to move out. right?
Yeah.
So they aren't building. So what this article goes on to talk about is you have various politicians like Merrick Garcetti of Los Angeles that are putting forth new bills and new propositions where you're able to now start to bring more people in, but also give incentives for people that own a home to actually sell.
Yeah, right.
So one of the big propositions they talk about is Proposition 18, right? So they talk about with that proposition, you have to be 55 or older in order for your...
As of now, by the way.
As of now, you have to be 55 or older to actually have your taxes be the same as the property that you sold, right?
Right.
And there's, you can go from county to county, and you can't buy a home more than what your
right. If you're buying a larger
worth.
home, of course your property taxes are going to be affected. But if you have the ability to go to some place that is of the same or lesser value, the feeling, the whole thing is that you're able to keep your property taxes the same across the board.
That's right. It's Proposition 13, by the way.
Right.
Proposition 13.
But now they're actually trying to get the same thing for basically like first time home buyers and other folks as well, so that they can take advantage of that. So if it might influence people to basically move up to the next level, basically, and give space for these first-time home buyers to come in.
That's right. And then so the follow-up article is from the LA Times, and it says the proposal, which aims for a spot on the November 2018 statewide ballot, would allow homeowners of any age to carry a portion of their existing property tax rate across county lines when they purchase a new home.
Right.
It says homeowners often are reluctant to switch houses given that Proposition 13's cap on annual property taxes ends once they sell and move somewhere else.
Yeah.
So a lot of, it says Alex Creel, a lot of people kind of feel locked into their properties. So this will free up those
If
folks.
I move, my property is going to cost me X more.
That's right.
Why would I move? I'm going to, it makes it more difficult to make that decision.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you have, if your interest rate on your mortgage is 3.75, and you've got your property taxes where, yeah, it's gradually gone up, but certainly not at the same level as if you were to buy something brand new. And now all of a sudden your interest rate on your new property is going to be 4.5%, and you have this property tax
on top of it.
You're like, yeah, we could use extra room. It's nice to have a new home and to be in that, but it's not worth it.
But the price value is off.
Do it.
The price value comparison. It's just basically, it's not worth it to me to make that change.
That's right. And we talked about this, right? So this was one of the news stories we talked about back when we had our land friend, right?
Yeah, right.
So, Zach. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were talking about, what are those steps that governments can take so that they can somewhat, I guess, manipulate the market where you free up. So you
where are your
more
levers?
Supply,
the levers,
right? So you create more supply by allowing existing homeowners to sell.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And back to the New York Times article, what they've done is, I would say primarily in those specific districts where the city councils, they have been notorious for just saying no.
Yeah,
No. We don't want this overdevelopment. It's going to ruin the neighborhood and all that. But now they're actually saying, yes, we need to do this.
Let me interject here about that, because this is something that is a really big bugaboo with me, because I live in Woodland Hills, and I literally have this problem with my neighbors. And we have this Warner Center development. It's like the 2035 development, they call it, because it's going to be all, we're going to have a stadium and everything like that by 2035. And, I see the communications from all my neighbors and the, neighborhood watch and, neighborhood groups saying something along the lines of, oh my God, it's going to be terrible. There's going to be traffic. We don't have the infrastructure, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
They're not taking into consideration two things. Number one, what those great kind of additions to their neighborhood are going to do to their property values. Right. When you have that kind of, metropolitan central kind of area, people, you become wanted. That place is like, oh my God, I want to be close to that activity, and people move towards it, and that moves your price tag on your house up.
That's right. Well, it also helps the local economy, right? So
Right.
you're creating all these great jobs, you're creating great commerce, you have successful business owners where,
Right.
before people weren't going shopping at the promenade
right.
anymore, right? They were
I
going
wonder why
somewhere
that
else.
shop went under. Well, because there's not
Right.
enough people walking by it.
That's right. That's
and,
right.
And, the other thing that just drives me absolutely crazy is they're like, well, the traffic.
Mm-hmm.
The traffic's going to be terrible and all that. Well, dude, what do you think your traffic is when people have to commute for an hour and a half
Right.
to get to this place? Right?
Yeah.
That's big. That's the traffic.
That's right.
You're putting people in the cars instead of just being able to walk around the corner from where they're at.
Right.
Yeah. If you keep on saying no to, a medium priced development, which are, look, I'm all about, we can talk all day about, the different types of development, like low income, middle income, that kind of thing, whatever, right? But let's just talk about middle income, okay? Bring in middle income people in. It's literally going to be like, they can walk to the store. They
Right.
can walk to the, the mall. They're not going to be choking up your streets with their cars because they have to drive in from Valencia just to go to their office building,
And if you're
which they're building there too.
If you're too protectionist, what's going to happen is eventually those people are going to die. Then the property values are going to go down, and then it's going to be too late. You're going to be, forced to be in a fire sale where you have, foreign buyers that are coming in. They see the opportunity, and they've rewritten the rules, and your community is no longer your community.
Yeah.
Right? It's been overtaken by someone else who's calling the shots. So
Yeah.
might as well, if you're there, to actually do something about it.
Do it under your control.
Under your control, under your
Yeah.
circumstances, and how the community should be shaped.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So with the internet, everything there's a lot more transparency and there's a lot more access. And if someone wants something and that's where the tide is going, you have to go in the direction.
Yeah.
You have to do it. And actually, it says right here, it says in Los Gatos, which is Northern California, about
Right.
60 miles south of San Francisco. A long-running dispute over a proposed development for 320 homes that the city rejected led to a lawsuit by the developer. So it resulted in a judge directing the city to reconsider the plans. Also, cities regularly make developments smaller than their zoning allows, something that gradually chips away at future housing production. So you've had these city councils that have just said no, 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 and now they're saying yes. Now we do need to do this.
But they don't have much of a choice in the matter.
Right. Well, and they could have done this back in the 70s and 80s,
Yeah.
where it was a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
And it would have really helped, for the good of the particular, the development and city. And I mean, what's happened is it says California is the toughest market for first-time home buyers, and the cost of housing is beyond reach for almost all of the state's low-income population.
And also when I think about these folks in the neighborhood and the NIMBY people, it's so based in fear, a fear of the unknown. You know what I mean? It's like they would rather keep everything the way they think it should be, rather than being in control of the situation, right? Saying, okay, well, we're going to let it happen, right? We're going to let it happen, but we're going to let it happen on our terms, right? We're not going to stop it. Why would we stop it? Let's have progress. But don't just shut it down because you're concerned that there might be 10% more traffic or there might be, a bad element that comes in. You don't know that, especially if you create it in such a way that, is in some way controllable. I don't know.
Yep.
That's just my 2 cents about that whole issue. But what's our next story?
So the next story, we've already talked about the Los Angeles Times article. So that one is for young California home buyers, a proposed 2018 initiative could make buying a new house a lot less expensive. So what they're saying is with this Prop 13, why don't we go ahead and extend the property tax breaks to everybody?
Yeah.
Now, something that I wanted to comment on this particular piece is, okay, that's cool, right? So, instead of it being 55 and older to offer this tax break, let's give it to everybody. Now, my question is, how much of an impact are we really talking about, right? So who really would benefit from that? Like how big of a population under 55 is just making bank and is going to make a huge impact? I don't know, right? So, I mean, it looks good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's unfortunately. When I hear that, I kind of go, well, maybe it's just another aspect of throwing something at the wall and see if it sticks. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's going to help.
I think it's a step in the right direction. I mean, certainly a step in the right direction. I don't know how big of an impact it'll make, but it's popular from a headline perspective.
It's something that can, I think that what it really, the only thing that's really going to start making a difference, once again, is literally having an interface with these kind of NIMBYs in such a way to kind of, look, guys, we gotta keep, regulation has got to be carved down. With zoning has to be, we have to take care of getting, by no means making, death traps and all that, but we have to, putting strip joints in the middle, next door to an elementary school. I'm just saying we need to be able to relax a little bit and let these people build.
Yeah, well, if you look at the Metro line, right? So I'm a big proponent of it because I ride it all the time. And, there were a lot of people opposed to it, right?
Yeah.
They're like, I don't want a metro station. It's going to, encourage all the bad elements of society. I don't want them in my front yard.
Which is remarkably stupid. If you watch appreciation along a metro line, it's like it goes through the roof.
Oh, yeah. It's insane. The expansion, the Expo Line from downtown to Santa Monica, all of those homes along that line have all appreciated in value.
Yeah.
Right? It just encourages people to, live closer, work closer. It just makes sense.
Frees up traffic from, the freeways. And so you can save money on infrastructure there. It makes, the air cleaner so you don't have to worry about pollution as much.
Right.
Guys,
people save money because they don't have to park and pay for monthly parking. It's all around. It's all a win.
But I don't want to hear the jackhammer for 2 years. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. it's, that's what, when you live in a city, you kind of, go live out in the country then, if you're concerned about, there's plenty of farmland. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where you can literally go be a hermit and not have to, see another human being, but you chose to live in a city. What were you thinking?
That's right.
Anyway.
That's right.
All right, next story, sir.
All right. So speaking of bad elements. Yeah. So this is from the Thousand Oaks Acorn.
Yeah. Well, that's nearby where I'm relatively nearby. So.
All right. So I assume is that a newspaper? I'm not sure.
It is.
Tom picked this story. So
it's not an actual, they only have one acorn.
They have one acorn.
Thousand Oaks, if you go to,
there's
somebody,
just one.
Somebody carries around an acorn from person to person. It's like, through your week for with the acorn, you hold it, take good care of it.
I like it. It's like, that makes sense. All right. So,
but yes, it is a newspaper.
South LA.
Do people pay for it? I don't know.
I don't know. But so here's the headline.
Yes.
South LA gang suspected in series of local burglaries.
Right. Mm-hmm. Now, you're probably wondering out there, as you're listening, why on earth are we talking about this? Well, there is an angle here.
The Bling Ring's back, right?
The Bling Ring. Are you talking?
You remember
did you really
that?
say the Bling Ring?
I did.
Wasn't that
and I saw that movie too.
You did? You were the person?
No, I wasn't the person. No, I was
the
not
person
involved.
who saw the Bling Ring?
No. Oh, yes. I was the one person who saw
the Bling Ring.
Yes, it's true. I think it was on a plane too. I don't know. It was something.
Was it the only movie that they were showing?
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't like one of those choose on the back of your seats kind of things,
right?
Because I would understand if
if I had other choices.
If you had other choices, let me see. Gone with the Wind, Casablanca, The Bling Ring.
The Bling Ring.
Yeah, that's the one for me. Mm-hmm. Where do we go with it? Now we've completely been sidetracked here.
Well, so The Bling Ring was, that was when you had
but we were talking about the angle. We were talking about. I know what the Bling Ring was.
Okay. All right. So the angle.
No, the angle on this was that they were casing the places by
Zillow.
So
it says using online real estate database Zillow to scout their targets, members of a South Los Angeles gang committed as many as 20 home burglaries in Camarillo, Thousand Oaks, and Moore Park in Ventura County, as well as other areas of the Southland in the past year.
So here's the deal. So basically what happened was that you'd have these houses where they were going up for sale. The realtor would put their pictures up on, the MLS and all that, and that goes out syndicated to Zillow.
Yep.
And so, but they don't get taken down. So basically, they would be looking at Zillow, looking at the house, and be able to see, well, okay, that's where the TV is, that's where this room is, that's where if the cops are coming, that's where I run out this way. We can get in through this window, through the back. You know what I mean? It was all these different things that they could find by looking at the pictures on Zillow.
Yeah, I mean, this was like James Bond stuff, but it's all free information. You know,
Absolutely.
so it says in 2 robberies, they busted in right after the residents left. That means they were watching. Says Zillow, to which sellers can upload pictures of their homes to prospective buyers, were used by the crooks to learn of the layout of the potential targets, allowing them to get in and quickly avoid detection. So what they were doing is they were timing it where, you know, they cased the joint, if you will, where they went in all the different rooms, and then they went on their Facebook page to find out when they were leaving.
Yeah,
right?
basically.
Going out for a great date night with the wife, right? Or, you know, hey, we just checked in at LAX and we're on our way to Hawaii.
Look at my selfie at Disneyland.
Right, exactly. So the robbers were like, all right, you know.
Hey, guess who's not home?
It's free and clear.
Yeah. You know, and it's funny along this lines, I have to say another little thing that just a complete thing that just drives me absolutely crazy. And this one you're going to love.
Mm-hmm.
You know what it really just drives me crazy? Realtors who leave flags on in lawns for July 4th.
Oh.
Now,
Okay.
See if you can figure out what I'm thinking here.
You're not talking about the signs. You're talking about...
I'm talking about the flag, the
flags.
American flags. They think, we're so patriotic. We're going to go out as a big marketing thing, and we're going to put, you know, little flags on every single lawn in my, you know, farm neighborhood, basically.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So basically, when it's July 4th, everybody's on vacation, or a lot of people are on vacation, right? So if I'm a crook, right, and I go into that neighborhood, and I'm looking around, wow, that flag's still in that grass, that flag's still in that grass, that person took it in, so they're probably home. Those people who still have the flags in their grass on July 7th, July 8th.
Oh, okay. I
You might as well be saying,
right.
you might as well say, we're not home.
Right.
We're not home.
Yeah, it's like Home Alone, right? So it's you know, you could tell when the parents are gone and everything else.
And you got these proud realtors, and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm so, you know, I'm, you know, as American as apple pie, and you're gonna want to, you know, list your house with me." And they're like, "Yeah, but you're telling, you know, criminals, I'm not home. You can break in."
Well, and think about it this way. So this takes it a step further. So, you know, it's it's good to publicize and all of those things, right? But I you know, personally, I make it a personal practice not to associate my client, you know, with their name as well as the property they live in that they just bought. Because think about it, they all of those, you know, so you buy a house, your property has all these pictures on Zillow. And you then have a realtor that says, congratulations, you know, John and Annie, you know, in this at 1234 Moore Park Drive. It's amazing. You guys were so incredible during the whole process. Enjoy all these years in your new home. Well, guess what? That information's public. You could trace it back to Zillow, look at the house, scout it out. You can research John. You can research Annie. You can go in and really take over their lives, right? So you know the whole picture, right? And, you know, one of the things from this article that I'm thinking of is, you know, I probably should tell my clients that, hey, when we close on your home, request that Zillow takes down the pictures.
Yeah, at the very least.
Right? So that it's no longer just, you know, at least you're not a fair target that's out there, right? So,
but I will say this, the only way that you can do that is by registering their house to you. And then you're kind of inundated by Zillow and their marketing about, hey, when you're ready to list again, you know, remember, you found the house on Zillow or whatever. You know, that kind
and
of
it is
thing.
tough. I mean, it's public record, right? So it's not like
It's tough.
people can't, you know, find this information.
Well, when the deed gets recorded, all that information.
it's all public.
It's all public.
So it's definitely a you know, sensitive issue.
Right. And by the way, I heard something just yesterday that kind of creeped me out, by the way. Do you know what technology has now just sold basically information about your house to big data?
What's that?
The Roomba.
Shut up. That little
110%.
No.
The Roomba has a complete map of your house.
What?
Because that's what it does.
Right.
Right. It goes around your house and it has a map of what your house looks like inside, what the rooms are and all that. And their Roomba is taking that information and selling it for the highest bidder to basically people who are, they're saying that they're selling it to with smart home people, people who do smart home stuff to kind of, but still, I mean, I'm glad I never had, I have a good old fashioned push vacuum.
I'm gonna blow up the Roomba tonight.
Do you have a Roomba?
We have a Roomba.
Well,
I don't think we've ever used it, but yeah, Karen had a Roomba.
That data is already gone.
Wow.
Yeah, assuming that it's got the communication.
Right.
But
oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So anyway, that was weird. Okay, let's our last story for the day.
Yeah, so this one's a fun one. So this one's from People magazine, right? So this says, watch, Ryan Lewis has a bizarre tactic for selling his opulent Seattle home. Stage a break-in and film the whole thing.
Speaking of
break-ins, so it says, see the listing of house at 3035 perkinshouse.com. So it says, Ryan Lewis, stately Seattle mansion.
Now, to say who Ryan Lewis is, because most people don't know who Ryan Lewis is.
He's the guy
who isn't Macklemore.
That's right.
So the singer Macklemore who did the thrift shop? What is it?
Yeah, that one.
Thrift store?
Thrift store, thrift shop.
Sure, whatever. But he had it's now for sale for $7 million, this house. And he did this video with a friend of his or something like that.
I'm going to pop some tags. That guy. That's the song. That's right. Yes. You'll hear me rap, man. We're not going to do it today, though.
I don't think we're going to actually hear it ever. But he it's a $7 million house, so that song must have done pretty good for the guy. Well, he bought it for $3 million and he fixed it up.
Thrift shop. That's what
thrift shop. He bought it for $3 million. He's selling it for $7 million. So he has a guy pretend to break in and film it, basically. Yeah. And here's my feeling about this, right? Which is, it's funny. It's fun.
Yeah.
If you're going to do this, it's got to be good. It can't be. I'm all for like these wacky, crazy, fun ways to kind of draw attention to a house. Like I saw a house, a funny thing for a house the other day, where it's like it said at the bottom, "I guarantee it's not haunted," or something like that. That makes that somehow gets people go, "Holy crap!" That's somebody thinking outside the box or whatever. But it has to be done so well that or otherwise it's like, oh, that's stupid.
Yeah. I mean, so what I do like about this is, first of all, it was the seller's idea. So it was Ryan Lewis's idea.
So that's cool.
This whole thing, right? And he's eccentric and he's creative. So that all falls in line.
And he had faith in the guy to do it.
He did, and he actually used one of his buddies. So it says features Seattle musician Alan Stone approaching the home from the water, and then he kind of breaks in. But I mean, it's beautifully done.
Yeah, it's well done.
They do a really, really nice job, and there's no question that that
there's
not
quality involved.
Really, there's no question there's quality involved, but there's also no question in terms of are they really breaking in?
Yeah,
or
right.
Is it a listing video? Like clearly, it's a listing video. They just are very creative with it. I think if you go kind of part way, like I saw that thing about the haunted thing.
Yeah, right.
That does look haunted. It's creepy. Like I wouldn't want to buy that.
You'd
house.
have to tell people that.
Yeah, you're gonna have to like tell people. Oh, it's like tongue in cheek. So if it's not obvious, then don't do it. You want it to be obvious.
Or the one agent and he was hysterical, where he was like standing in front of a mess, like a total figure, and he goes in, and he goes, "Look at how terrible this house is, and look at this," and that kind of thing. And because he knew his market was going to be probably developers or someone who was going to come in and probably tear it down or whatever. But he's playing. He's swerving into the crash, as I like to say. He's basically going, "Look, this is what these are the cards I'm given. I'm going to play them as hard as I can." Yeah. But it just makes sure that it's done well. That's all.
Well, and you had an episode on this where you were talking about telling the story of your home. Right. So I think in this particular case, they do that really well. Yeah. Because they didn't just take a cookie cutter approach and just put it on the MLS and do the open houses and everything else. No, they actually told a story, and it was, extremely genuine given the seller. So I think it works.
Cool. All right. Well, that's about it for today. If you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to leave them for us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Clarified Realty Podcast, all one word. If you have any questions about real estate or you're looking to, for someone to help you buy or sell a home, remember, I am a licensed real estate agent. I'd love to help you out. So please email me directly at tom@clarifiedrealty.com or give me a call at 818-335-7662. Don't be shy. Give me a ring. For more exclusive bonus content and advice between episodes, please check out our website, www.clarifiedrealty.com. Also on our homepage, you'll find links to helpful buyer and seller guides that can give you some great information for starting your home buying or home seller process. So definitely check those out. I'm on Snapchat, Twitter, and Instagram as well. My handle for all three of those are @ClarifiedRealty. Please leave feedback and reviews on iTunes or in the comment section on our page. Together we're stronger, so if you have any questions or ways that we can make this podcast better, please let us know. My amazing theme song, Hey Now, is from the band Wolf. That's Wolf with 2 Fs. And please go check them out and like them on SoundCloud. They rock so freaking hard, when they break into your home, they leave you with more than you had before. And just a little disclaimer, I'm licensed by the California Bureau of Real Estate. My license number is 01715353. Ron's is?
Guaranteed rate, NMLS 2611, NMLS ID 558706, California.
The advice we give is only for properties located in the state of California. For all other states, please contact your local real estate agent or real estate professional. Well, that's it. Ron, you all good?
I'm good.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for coming, everybody. And remember, the greatest thing you can ever do is make someone feel at home. Take care, and we'll see you next week.
What you gonna